Hello, beautiful people. All right, we are finally here. I had a brief moment of no idea what. We're finally here. All right, and I had a brief moment of. All right, let's make sure that I am live in the right place. Technology has not been my friend today. Hey, it is time for Business by Design, but I want to make certain that I am live in the right place. It's looking like maybe I am, maybe I'm not. We'll see. Okay, and it looks like we are in the right place. All right, let's do this. 1 second. All right, while I am trying to get things together, let me just say it is time for Business by Design, and it is Valerie Priester, the master business mindset coach to female life coaches, helping you go from overwhelm to profits in your coaching business. And today we're going to talk about how to attract the right people. All right, how to attract the right people. So one of the things that I know a lot of coaches and even a lot of business owners are challenged with is now what I'm struggling with here is I cannot see the comments. So if you are commenting, I won't necessarily be able to see them. I think I can, but if you're there, just say hello so that I know you're there and I can see your comments. Because right now I am not able to see comments, and I'm hoping that I am live. I hope that you can hear me if you are there. So we're gonna just keep rolling. We're just gonna keep rolling. So today we're gonna talk about how to attract the right people. So as I started to say, one of the things that I know is a huge challenge for a lot of people is attracting the right people, right? I know that when I first started in my coaching business, one of the things that I thought, right, which was a certainly a mistake on my part, but I thought that I could coach anyone. I thought that, hi, Charmaine, good, I can see my comments now. I thought that I can coach anyone. It didn't matter, right? Because I was a Christian life coach, and that meant that I could just coach anyone. I could help anyone become better. And while that's true to some extent, because if you are a coach, you can pretty much coach anyone, right? If you are a life coach, you can coach individuals on having a better life. You can coach individuals on having a better outlook on life. You can coach them on, having better relationships. You can coach them on getting a better job. You could probably losing weight, right? You could probably think of a number of things that you can coach someone through if you are a skilled coach. But building a thriving, successful, profitable business requires that you really get a little more intentional and focused in on who your ideal client really is, right? And so I know that this is an area, like I said, that a lot of people, thank you, Charmaine, for letting me know you can hear me and see me. A lot of people get stuck in because number one, you don't really know how do I narrow that down? If I have this heart for people and I really want to help people, how do I just all of a sudden decide that, you know what, I'm only going to work with this particular group of people? Well, it's not so much about just limiting yourself to working with that group of people, because you can still work with other people, but it's more about helping you to have better marketing strategies, because now you're speaking to a specific group of people that will resonate with what you have to say and will hear you, right? If you just have a marketing message that's general, then you're really not speaking to anyone. And then what happens is people aren't really hearing you, right? Because they cannot resonate with your message. They don't know that you are actually the coach that can help them. So let's talk about how to attract the right people in your coaching business, okay? Now, the real right people are the people who can pay, right? The people who can afford to pay for your services. That's key, right? It's not the only thing that you have to think about, but that is key. You have to make sure that you're focused in on an audience that can and are willing to pay for your services, right? That's very, very important. So when we look at like how you attract them, you got to look at things like your website. Is your website, the message on your homepage or your landing page, is that language that you're using there, is it strongly appealing to those who you ideally want to work with, right? And here's the other part. Is it also actively repelling those that you don't want to work with? Because it should do both, right? It should really be clear in that this is who I work with. This is, the people that I coach, and here's how I help them. But then also here are the people that I don't work with, right? Here's who I don't work with, okay? You got to be clear on that. If not, you got to tighten up that copy. You got to make sure that the language is clear. You got to make sure that you take out all of the vague words and the generalizations, right? Because those will not help your ideal client be able to resonate with your message, therefore, raise their hands and really self-identify that you are the person that can help them. So when you get rid of all those vague words and you're really clear and you're speaking to that ideal client, it makes all the difference in the world, right? So you want to make certain that you state, again, exactly who you can help and how you can help them, and then who should not try to work with you or try your program at this time, right? You want to be really, really clear about that. So know that it doesn't take a lot of extra words or explanation with it. If you're clear and you're concise in your language, right, then you can speak that really clearly so that people understand it, right? For instance, if you take my message, so I'm going to try something here because I'm doing this from Zoom as well. I'm going to share my screen real quick and let's see what happens if I share it. So if you take my message, for instance, I'm not going to put this in well, I can't put it in. Okay, so if you take my message, for instance, right? And I'm not sure if you're seeing my screen. It's telling me that you're not, at least I'm not seeing it. There we go. There we go. There we go. So if you take my message, for instance, you'll see that, I'm the Master Business Mindset Coach for female life coaches, right? Helping them go from overwhelmed to profits in their coaching business, okay? Very clear of who I work with and how I help them. So this message is going to resonate and speak with those who are female life coaches, right? They are going to raise their hands and say, she's the person that I need to work with, right? And also my whole tagline of, going from overwhelmed to profits speak to the fact that, you may be in a lot of overwhelm, you may be in a lot of confusion and frustration as it relates to growing your business. And so if you are in that space, this message will speak to you and say, she's the one that can help me get over all this chaos, get over all of the overwhelm, right? And really get to the profits in my business and growing my business. So you want to be very, very clear in your messaging. The other thing is, you want your message, again, to be very precise, right? Stating who you help, how you help them, and helping the people that you don't want to work with or you don't help to click away, right? So make sure that your landing page, your homepage, whatever you're using when you drive people to your website, make sure that your main specialty is clear and then quickly clarifies these three things. Number one, again, who your services are for, how they will transform the visitor, and who your services are not for, okay? Again, the whole key here lies in being specific. And don't be afraid. Here's the other thing that I see too, is a lot of times when I try to help my clients to narrow down, they're afraid that if I narrow down, then I won't get anyone. But actually the truth is, the opposite of that is true. If you narrow down, you'll get more clients because they can self-identify. And again, you're not having to go out and find them. They're finding you because your message is clear and because your message is resonating with them. Now, this does not mean, again, that you cannot help the people that are not your, targeted ideal client. You can still help the other people, but you can be more selective in who you really want to work with and who you really want to help when your messaging and everything is really clear. Okay, here's another example. Let me see if I can share my screen again. This is Coach Marsha. And so in her messaging, she is a ADHD coach, right? And so in her messaging, she talks about what makes her coaching different, right? And she says there's a difference between what I do and what an ADHD coach does, right? And she clearly states, I am not an ADHD coach, and I am not a regular business coach either, right? And then further down here, it says, I feel the gap between those two kinds of coaches. So she is very clear on what she does, who she serves, and the type of coach that she is. And so if you're doing, if you're doing a search and you're looking for an ADHD coach and you come across her website, this will be very clear to you that she is not a ADHD coach, right? She is a combination of what fills the gap between those two kinds of coaches, a business coach and an ADHD coach. And she further explains it, right? So you want something that's very clear so that your audience, when they land on your website, they know exactly what type of coach you are and who you help, okay? So, and I have another example. I don't know why I stopped sharing, but here's another example. I'll give you another one. And this one is from Jo Bennett, right? And this, she talks about, let me get this to come up because it takes a minute for it to share. There you go. She talks about is coaching therapy, right? And so she gives kind of the distinction between therapy and between coaching, because a lot of times people do, I don't know if they think that coaching is therapy, but they sometimes try to replace therapy with coaching, right? Which is a definite no. We don't do that, right? Because coaching is not therapy. And so when you have some clear distinctions between, again, what you do and who you help and how you help them, it really helps you to target and attract the right people. That's what it's all about, is targeting and attracting the right people, okay? And again, this is one of the biggest areas that I see, people struggle with, is like, how do I narrow down? How do I get really, really clear on who that ideal client is? And that keeps them from really generating the income that they want to generate in their business and getting the clients they want to get in their business. And it also makes you feel like you're constantly trying to find clients, right? How do I know? Because I've been there, done that. I know how this feels, because when I, again, started my business, one of the things that I thought was that I could coach everyone. And it just really kept me going around in circles, trying all these different efforts, trying all these different strategies. All of them failed, right? I did not get the results that I was looking for. I would get a client here or there, but it was very, very sparse. It wasn't, enough to be sustainable income in a business, right? And so the other thing was, I would take on clients that weren't committed to doing the work, because they weren't my ideal client, right? Because your ideal client is also going to be committed to doing the work. I would take on clients just to get paid, right? All of those things. I would feel like a failure. I would feel like, I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. I feel like I wasn't a very good coach. In fact, I would always say, you're a terrible coach. All of those things would sink into my head. And so, of course, that's messing with my confidence. But it all was the result of not really knowing who my ideal client was. It had nothing to do with my coaching. It had even nothing to do with my pricing. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was just not knowing who the ideal client was, so that I could effectively market and target them, right? And so all of these things were spinning in my head, and it just kind of kept me going around and around in circles until I, finally said, you know what, I just need to get help, because I don't know how to do this. I just need to get help. I had to raise my hand and said, I need help, right? And that's when I hired my first business coach. So I get it, but I also know that it's possible for you to get clear on who that ideal client is. Even if, here's another thing that used to get thrown up a lot, even if you have multiple passions. I would hear this a lot. I have multiple things that I love and I am passionate about doing. Great. But my advice is always pick one and let's go, right? Pick one and let's focus on that one. Let's go. And you can continue to build on the others, but here's what will happen if you try to, market all of them at the same time. If you try to build all of them at the same time, you're not giving any one thing focus or attention. And so you're kind of piecemealing each one of them. And so they can't all grow at the same time, right? Think about Oprah, right? She didn't start out being a journalist and a TV talk show host. She didn't start out, being a TV talk show host and owning her own network. There were stages and time that she spent developing one thing at a time, right? And so that's what you really want to focus on as well. but it's possible for you to really narrow in on. And it doesn't take as much as you think it does. It really just takes you getting clear, I say, first of all, on who you want to work with, right? Not just from the money standpoint. Who is it that makes your heart sing? That you can say, you know what, if I had to, coach with them all day long, I'm good, because I'll lose track of time, because I really, really love working with that individual, that group of people, right? It really makes my heart sing. It's really my passion. Start there. And then look at also, what are your skill sets? What is the experience that you're bringing to the table? What are some things that you have accomplished in your life or overcome in your life that you can bring to the table to be able to help that segment of people, right? So there's certain steps that you can go through to really identify and get clear on who is the right person for you to target. But until you're targeting the right person, your income is probably suffering in your business, right? So of course I can help you with that. Of course I can help you with that. So what I would invite you to do, right, is schedule your private 90-minute strategy session with me. In 90 minutes, we can get you super clear on who your ideal client is, right? Who you really need to target, and create a plan and a strategy for you to be able to target them effectively, so that you can start generating a real income in your business. You can start really having those clients come to you and say, you know what, you're the one for me. You're the coach for me. I have to have you, right? And booking those discovery calls and really reaching out to you so that they can in turn hire you to be their coach. All of that's possible for you when you really hone in on the right people. Okay, so schedule your 90-minute call. I'm going to put the link in the comments here in the video in Facebook. I'm also going to, I was going to try to drop them in the in the comments here on Zoom, because I'm also on Zoom, but that may be a bit much for me right now. Hang on one second, maybe I can do it. If you guys have any questions, and if you're joining me on Zoom, feel free to drop that in the comments, or I can open up your mic and you can talk if you're joining me on Zoom, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time. All right. Let me see if I can drop that link. Hey, this is a new way of me doing business by design, but I wanted to have it where I could be more connected with you. And this really helps me to be able to do that. So let me get the link here. Ooh, got there quicker than I thought. Any questions, you can pop them in the comments, right? Be happy to answer them. So only take me a moment. And remember to join me next week. We'll be back here next Thursday for another Business by Design. And in the chat on Zoom. And then of course, I will also put it in the comments here on Facebook as well, so that you can schedule your 90-minute session with me. And let's get this done, right? In 90 minutes, we can accomplish so much. Thank you so much, Charmaine, for being here. We can accomplish so much in 90 minutes, right? And get you really clear on who your ideal client is and your messaging clear, so that then when you are promoting and when you're talking to other people, you can make certain that, the message is clear and you're attracting the right clients. All right. That's it for today. I will see you guys next Thursday, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, for another Business by Design. Have an amazing weekend. Remember, designing your victory is a choice, and you get to start today. Bye now.